Stephanie and let's talk books. So today I wanted to chat with you guys about my 2019 reading goals and some of my favorite 2019 reads. So I started out this year with a Goodreads goal of 100 books. This includes physical books, audiobooks, graphic novels, novellas, basically anything that has a Goodreads entry counts towards these 100 books. I pretty quickly during the year realized that I was definitely going to hit the 100 book mark, so I went ahead and bumped my reading goal up to 120 books, and I'm currently sitting at 123, so that's really awesome. I do plan on getting in a few more books before the end of the year. I've got a couple of graphic novels that I would like to pick up, so I think that will definitely push me a little bit further. One of the things that I think helped me surpass my 2018 read of 107 books is that I did pick up graphic novels. So those are a lot shorter, they take a lot less time to read, and so I think that definitely inflated my numbers a little bit this year. I have surpassed my page count from last year, but it was significantly after I hit that 107 book mark, which should have had me about where I was last year. So I think that was definitely a factor. I am very much enjoying reading graphic novels, and I definitely want to continue to check out more graphic series next year. My other big goal for this year was to read the Wheel of Time series. If you guys aren't familiar with this series, this is a 14-book series plus a prequel, many of which are around the 1,000-page mark, by Robert Jordan. It's an epic fantasy series, super huge, and is well loved among many members of the fantasy community. So I definitely wanted to check this series out. I've heard a lot of great things about it, and given how much of Brandon Sanderson's works that I was able to pick up and read in 2018, I thought, this will be easy. There's only 15. It can't be that hard. The prequel's kind of short. Yeah, didn't quite make it all the way to the end of the series. I'm currently working through book 10, Crossroads of Twilight, and I have already read the prequel. So that's 11 out of the 15 books, which I'm actually really happy with. I've been listening to these on audiobook because my library does have the entire series, including the prequel, on audiobooks. So that is how I was able to get through quite a few of these books. And that's also one of the reasons why I wasn't able to get through the entire series, because I listened to audiobooks at work, and I actually switched onto 2 different teams throughout this year. So I had periods of time where I was learning a lot of new things, and it took all my brain power, and I wasn't able to listen to audiobooks for a while. So I kind of had to take a break from Wheel of Time, and it kind of took me a little while to get back into it. I actually listened to the entire Harry Potter series on audiobook, but I was happy that I was able to pick the series back up and kind of regain some of my momentum before the end of the year. So I'm about 70-ish% done with this, and I should be able to also finish this before the end of the year, given how many work days that I have left. And that will leave me with just 4 more books in the series, which I am really excited about because Brandon Sanderson helped finish the series after Robert Jordan passed away, and I love Brandon Sanderson, and I particularly love his endings. He's great at endings, so I think having him help with the ending of the series will mean it just hits my sweet spot for books. And I did post a Wheel of Time reading update a little bit earlier in the year. I'll go ahead and link that up in the cards if you're interested, and I will be filming another Wheel of Time update once I finish book 10 to kind of let you guys know how I feel about the series so far. So I read a lot of really great books this year. I didn't read quite as many new 5-star favorites because a lot of my 5-star reads this year were actually rereads, but I did find some really great books, and I wanted to talk about those. So my favorite new adult read of 2019 is Age of Legend by Michael J. Sullivan. I have been reading this Legends of the First Empire series, which is a prequel series to his Rhaenyra books. Now, I haven't read any of the Reread ones, but my library had the first of these on audiobook, which I picked up last year, and I fell in love with it. So I got this book as soon as it came out, and I was really excited to read it. It was so good. One of the things I really like about Michael J. Sullivan is it has a lot of that classic fantasy flavor that I loved growing up, but while still being fresh and new and interesting enough that I'm not bored and can just predict everything that's going to happen. There are a lot of really exciting things that happen in this installment of the series, and I'm so happy that the next book is coming out really soon because there was such a cliffhanger ending and I need to know what happens. But I would highly recommend you guys picking up some Michael J. Sullivan. I know most people don't recommend starting out with the prequel series. I do want to read some of the earlier Reread series to try and compare if I like them better or not as much as this series. But I really enjoyed this. This has really been a standout series for me, and I'm super excited that the last two are coming out next year. I have two YA favorites that I wanted to talk about. The first one is not going to be a surprise to anyone who is a viewer of my channel, but that is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. Brandon Sanderson is my favorite author, and I absolutely love the first book, Skyward. This series is a sci-fi series, but it has kind of the plot line of a boy and his dragon, except it's a girl and her AI spaceship. So I really love that. It's got so many of those moments that I loved from fantasy as a kid. I read so many kid finds a dragon books growing up, and I just absolutely love that genre, but the sci-fi setting and the twist that he puts on it makes it really interesting. I'm really hoping that this series gets a lot more people into sci-fi because we need more people to read sci-fi. Fantasy is great, but sci-fi is also great. So the next of my favorite YA reads, I thought I would talk about a series that I read this year, and that is the Renegades series by Marissa Meyer. Supernova, the last one, which came out this year, right around the same time of Starsight. This is a superhero story, and it follows two characters, one of whom is the adopted son of the superheroes who saved the world, and the other one who is the niece of the super villains who have been defeated and they're kind of in hiding, and she decides to go undercover in the superhero training school to gain information about the superhero to help her supervillain family defeat them so they don't have to hide in fear anymore. And there's a lot of really great themes in this series. I love that throughout the series I was never really sure whether the superheroes or the supervillains were the people I was supposed to be rooting for, because each of the different groups of people, they made mistakes, they made bad decisions, they made good decisions, and I felt like I really related to the main character, Nova, her struggles with trying to decide which side was the right side for her to be on. There's also a lot of really cool superpowers, a lot of interesting and different ones that I haven't seen before. And so I just really enjoyed this series. I flew through it. I was so happy when I finished the first two that I realized that the third one was about to come out, so I didn't have to wait. And I really love the ending. I've also read Marissa Meyer's Lunar Chronicles, which is a series which is sci-fi fairy tale retellings, and I actually really like this one better. The other one's good, but I think this one is definitely more well developed and interesting. And then my favorite reread of the year, The Way of Kings. I love this book. It's my favorite book. I did an annotated reread this year with a buddy reading group, and it was super fun. There are so many nuggets in this book. I feel like this series has so much reread potential. You can just read it once and enjoy it and move on to the next book of the series and not come back, and I think you'll still enjoy the story. But if you are someone like me who is super nerdy and you like digging for clues and foreshadowing and Easter eggs, then I think you'll really enjoy the series because there is a lot, and I cannot wait because the next book is coming out next year, Stormlight 4, and I am super pumped for that. That is 100% my most anticipated read of 2020. My favorite reread is probably always going to be a Brandon Sanderson book, but The Way of Kings. It's just my favorite. I love it. If you haven't read it, you should read it because I think you'll like it. So that is my 2019 goals wrap up and some of my favorite reads from this year. Let me know down in the comment section below, how did you do on your reading goals for this year? Do you feel good about the amount and types and varieties of books that you read? And let me know down in the comment section below what some of your favorite reads from 2019 were.